have you been feeling?
How have I been feeling towards this?
Yeah.
Honestly, you want to know my personal opinion regarding the Israel-Palestine thing, or like what I've been through ever since like this Israel-Palestine thing?
I think more so. Let's start off with the latter of like how have you been dealing? Because I wanna, part of having this conversation. Sorry to cut you off, but I want to explain that like part of wanting to have this conversation is to also host space for. To empathize with people, not only the people of Palestine, not only the people of Israel, but also the people of the world that behind the screens, like we are witnessing one of the most
it's a very unprecedented act of violence that is going on right now in the region,
right? And that we even if solely witnessing it through a screen, of course it does something to us.
Affect you.
You've heard of the term compassion fatigue. The bastardized definition of compassion fatigue is that you see all of these horrible things happening all around the world, and like you want to help but you can't.
Right? Like personally, because I used to feel strongly for whatever happened in what was happening in Israel and Palestine for 75 years, to the point where I had to gorge this book right here and a bunch of other books in lying on the shelf of my house, languishing. I have compassion fatigue for this case for so long, to the point where when this happened, it didn't move me that much, but I still felt the need to understand what was going on. But like, when you see a movie, you watch it, you see the movie plenty of times, and you always know what is going to happen, but you're always anticipating that it's going to happen. You always anticipate. You're very enthusiastic about what is going to go down, and you're anticipating it.
Yeah.
That's what is happening with me. It's always the same story. Palestinians, they do something, be it harmful or harmless, and then Israel, they always respond in the most disproportionate way that highlights the imbalance of power dynamics within the Israel and Palestine conflict. And what comes afterwards is just a sea of sympathy for Palestine. And then suddenly, when that stream comes along, there springs up like an information war from both sides. Both sides indulge in information war. They want to try and win the sympathy and the adulation of the people who are watching from all over the world. And sometimes they play dirty as well. They post lies. I'm not going to pertain which side posts lies, but both of them definitely does post lies.
I think it's it doesn't contribute anything productive to the conversation of like which side does it more. The point is that
at that point it does not contribute, because both sides are complicit into it, and a lot of people are just consumed by this, and then it reveals their true colors. Why? Because bad stuff is happening to the people you're supposed to sympathize with, and you use that as an excuse to reveal your terrible intentions and thoughts. When Israel does shit to Palestinians, it shows, and then people everywhere watch it. It reveals that a lot of people are anti-Semitic. Like, as we can see in the comment section in Instagram and Indonesian Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, a lot of people call for the condemnation of Israel, but not as a state, but as a people.
As the people, right?
And to the point where they quote, edgy shit like, "Oh, Hitler menyisakan beberapa agar kau mengetahui Yahudi itu seperti apa." But it's not like that.
Yeah. It's also been very appalling to me personally, and very disturbing. How much and how quickly Indonesia's anti-Semitism, like I'm talking like hatred for Jewish people, not for the Israeli government state itself, but for the Jewish people, and how quickly that came on like full HD display, all of a sudden.
HD display.
Like people saying like, oh kalau tahu dari dulu seharusnya si Hitler itu habisin mereka aja. And I'm like, bitch, do you not realize that when you say that, after Hitler's done with the Jews, you know who he's coming after next? You!
Muslims. He's going after
you
Muslims,
fucking brown
blacks,
ass.
Asians.
Everybody who's not Aryan. And to your point, right? And I feel like this is where I was talking to Buzzer behind the scenes about how I understand times like these, this lands me in really hot waters, as I have experienced myself from losing 3,000 followers on Instagram in one day. That for some reason I really don't understand why a lot of people have contentions with the fact that multiple things can be true at once.
Yeah.
Even until now, I still kind of I don't get it, and if anybody would perhaps maybe want to change my mind about that, and y'all know I'm very active and like I engage with everybody in the comments and in the DMs, and if y'all want to enlighten me and educate me like in a civil constructive way, go ahead. But I really don't understand what is with all of this animosity towards people that are acknowledging that multiple things can be true at once. Because one thing that I want to highlight is how you're talking about how suddenly Israel does one bad thing, admittingly a very, very fucking horrible thing. I hope it can. Yeah, very horrible thing. Yeah. But then you were going on about how, Israel does like one really horrible thing, and then suddenly everybody's like being fucking anti-Semitic. Where that resonates with me, I think about how isolated Palestinians, and even like I would extend that to Muslims around the world as well, because what happened with Palestine, Israel has been committing atrocities towards Palestine for like the longest time, 75 fucking years, right? Israel's been doing this, and the moment that Hamas retaliates, albeit in a way that is absolutely like condemnable and like absolutely like there's no justifying that whatsoever, right? But the moment Hamas retaliates, and then that's when everybody's talking about Palestine, and even then the attention, especially from Western media, right? Because if we're talking about media bias or if we're just talking about human biases in general, the moment something bad happens and it's Palestine that's doing it, and then that's when everybody talks about Palestine, but they talk about Palestine in a way that, all these people, see, they're fucking terrorists. All these Muslims, see, they're fucking terrorists.
Yeah, they generalize
right?
it. It's always possible. Like, the thing is, if you ask me where I affiliate myself, I'm obviously Palestinian leaning, but the thing is, the people that the side that I most lean on is the people who are affected by this entire thing.
Right.
Because Israel and Hamas, they do not represent the majority of what the people want.
Right.
Yeah.
It's also the conversation of separating the people from the government.
Yeah, separating the people from the government. Like, say, this is the thing about like I don't get about why a lot of Americans hate China, even though like it's just the Chinese government, not the Chinese people. Of course, there's some shit Chinese people but there's also nice Chinese people as well. And I've got friends from China who are actually anti-Chinese government. So that is possible.
Right.
Why is it not possible for, Israel and Palestine? Why is it always black and white?
And also, like, put it in this context, right? God forbid if one day the Indonesian government does something fucking stupid and let's say like bombs Malaysia, right? Bombs Kuala Lumpur, and like, innocent civilians were caught in that crossfire. Would it then make sense for Malaysians and for the whole world to be condemning Indonesian citizens that got no part in it whatsoever? Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah, it's not fair. It's not fair at all.
Yeah. I wanna you said something just now that I wanted to bring up a point about how history repeats itself. I can't remember what you said just now, but I wrote it down because it reminded me of like what I wanted to say. I think you were saying about how we've seen tragedies like this unfold before in the past, and then like
it's always the same thing.
It's always the same thing, and then like
over again,
and then the solemnness of realizing that there's really not much that can be done from our end. I think that's what you were trying to get at. Yeah. I recently had that reconciliation when I was reading a bit of history, mostly about like World War I and II, and then I never knew this, that the thing that Israel is currently doing to Palestine, the carpet bombing.
Yes.
That's happened before, but not with Israel. But the UK did that to Germany. Have you ever heard of a city called Dresden?
Yes, it's a Dresden firebombing.
Yes, the Dresden firebombing, right?
The Dresden firebombing.
Right.
It was war crimes. Absolutely war crimes.
Right. And and why it's why I think it's important to highlight the fact, I think this pretty much is a fact, right? That history repeats itself. History tends to repeat itself, right?
It tends to repeat itself, yeah.
The chances are. And when, the carpet bombing of Dresden happened back in the UK, I mean, I wonder two things. I wonder if back then back then, if we had social media already the way that we have it today, like I wonder if the
we would condemn
reaction
the UK
would be the same.
for doing that.
Would it be the same energy?
Yeah, it would
right?
be the same energy. We would be sympathizing with the citizens of Nazi Germany getting bombed to hell by the Royal Air Force.
Yeah.
Personally, I think what a lot of if back then we had social media,
right,
then the Allies would see this as a complete victory, which is
uh-huh.
very sad. Because again, generalization, echo chambering, right? It tends to happen in a crowd of people, and social media in the end is just a crowd of people,
right?
And generalization and echo chambering itself, it's really dangerous, and it shows that a lot of people sees just one source of information and they believe that they're informed afterwards, and whatever they're doing, they are righteous, but no, you are not righteous. You do not represent anything that is right. You are just lazy. You don't want to do your research. That's the case.
So I wonder what it would have been like if social media existed back then. And the bigger, more important and more pertinent to what's currently happening question that I'm wondering is if there was anything that could have been done to prevent that. Because look, I understand, I don't want to also take away the validity of using social media to raise awareness and mobilize support for those in need. We've seen social media, when used for good by good people, it achieves the most wonderful of things.
Of course.
I don't want to take that away from people. And I'm not saying, so before anybody fucking cancels me, I'm not saying that we should not be using social media to be raising awareness about what is happening in Gaza, Palestine, Gaza, right? I'm not saying that either, but how much does it really help? Do you see what I'm trying to say?
Yeah.
And I wonder, back when the UK, Great Britain was carpet bombing Dresden, was there anything to be done? Because I feel like, especially my audience members, sorry to like all of the new audience members tuning in perhaps, but like, the regular takes audience members, like, y'all would know this about me. I can be a very pessimistic person. Call it realism, call it pessimism, I have no idea, right? But at the same time, what's been really depressing is me reconciling with how I don't think any amount of us mobilizing on social media, no amount of us reposting, no amount of us protesting on the street, no amount of us doing really anything is gonna change anything about the situation happening in Gaza if it's not up to the people that are currently the ones holding the guns, like literally and metaphorically.
The ones on the ground.
Yeah.
Ones on the ground.
We want to, and that's where the conversation of compassion fatigue happens, right? Where it's like, I'm in the midst of compassion fatigue right now. Like every time I go on social media, I feel like pulling my hair out, bro.
Yeah.
Like it's depressing. It's actually, it's been affecting my mental health. I'm not going to even lie about that.
I can feel that because like the thing is like whenever I open up my social media, I've got plenty of contacts here. I got plenty of contacts there. So those two meet, and then I get pro-Palestinian algorithms, and I sometimes get pro-Israeli algorithms. And I see what is going on. I see what they say. Sometimes it's good. Sometimes it's bad. It's like this clash of narrative, that really gets to me. That makes me think, what can we do?
Right.
Like, it's just so hard to do it.
And especially, look, if you are an actual citizen of Palestine, or if you're an actual citizen of Israel, or I would even argue because the U.S. is very much involved in this. If you are a U.S. citizen, I feel like there's still, you have more of like a grounds to actually effectuate tangible, palpable change, right? But when it's the people in Korea, in Indonesia, in India, in like South Africa, like when we're so far away,
we don't have much stake. Yeah, we
don't have much stake. We don't have that much grounds. And also, again, at the end of the day, even if it were the Israeli people, the people of Israel are protesting. They want Netanyahu to step down.
They want Bibi to step down.
The whole world is protesting, and nothing is getting done. Even what's been the most depressing for me, like I'm about to actually fucking spiral. I wanted to do this as like a chill, calm conversation, but obviously that's not fucking happening. Like, the thing that's been so fucking depressing is the fact that even the UN can't do anything about it.
Yes,
even the UN.
Even the what's his name? The Director General of the New York office. He had to resign in disgust because of this.
I literally just today. No. The literally news today. Y'all go look it up. apparently, I don't know if this is like a thing in Europe where political leaders like prime ministers and presidents, like they have to have psychiatrists, like their own psychiatrists. But Netanyahu, he had his own psychiatrist.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I can't. I'll insert the headline like
right there.
Yeah, like right here. But he had a psychiatrist who, I think just today or maybe yesterday, committed suicide.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
That's terrible.
No, just because of just like, I think it would be an underestimate, like I don't think we should underestimate how much like this is also equally affecting the people, like the innocent everyday civilians of Israeli citizens.
It goes to show like this entire thing.
Right.
Yeah. It affects Israeli lives as well.
Right. And like even someone with like probably you would argue a psychiatrist has like the most proxy to Netanyahu. Like he's like the closest to Netanyahu. He literally has, I would argue, psychological access to Netanyahu, and even he can't do anything about it. Like nothing can be done unless the people that are literally and figuratively holding the gun, which is Netanyahu, unless he wants to agree to a ceasefire or to whatever resolution, and it just doesn't seem like he wants to.
He doesn't want to.
Yeah.
You see, Netanyahu, or much more, let's put it more simply, BB, because that's what they call him back in Israel, BB. Mm-hmm. I feel like what he wants to do towards the people of Palestine, it's not to free them, as he said, about what he plans to do with Gaza and Hamas, but rather revenge.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Like how exactly could you justify, how exactly could you justify? I have the figures right here, right? Mm-hmm. Like I've got the numbers of. Holy shit, I don't have the numbers. It's on my laptop.
It's fine. It's fine.
Like, how could you
insert it here?
Yeah. How exactly could you justify the murders of 10,000s of Palestinian lives? 4,000 of them are children. Mm-hmm. Destruction of 18 hospitals.
Right.
About 1,800 homes. As an act of self-defense. Mm-hmm. Like, how could you justify that as an act of self-defense?
I wanna get into that, right? Because obviously, like people on the pro-Israeli side, which I'm surprised there actually are pro-Israeli people here in Indonesia. I'm really surprised. But it's usually like, I'm sorry, but it's usually Christians. It's usually Christians who think that they have to support Israel because they're Christian, when it's like, it don't got nothing to do with you, babe.
Yeah,
like,
it doesn't have anything to do with Christianity. Like, you can just support. There's Christian Palestinians, mm-hmm. and churches are also being bombed in Gaza.
Yeah, exactly.
So
it's not a religious conflict whatsoever, but a lot of people in Indonesia and even other parts of the world, they're misconstruing this conflict to be a religious conflict, which is like an entirely different, like that's another conversation of just how fucking exasperated. I'm tired of y'all shit. But what I wanted to say is that I want to get into the whole self-defense argument, sure. Human shield argument, right? I find that so fascinating. I've thought about it for so long, just how like the self-defense argument, of course, a lot of people on the pro-Israeli side, they keep saying, right, like, no, but Israel has like the rights to defend itself.
Of course, like Israel has the rights to defend themselves.
The rights to defend themselves, and also to retaliate against the atrocities that were committed on October 7th. Yeah. I get it, right? Look, I get it, but at the same time, and this is where international law comes in, right? Where a principle, proportionality and necessity are principles that are outlined in the United Nations charter, I believe is what it's called. It's outlined in the rules of the United Nations, essentially.
Yeah,
whereby
essentially it's in United Nations customs.
It's part of international laws, where not only, yes, you are allowed to defend yourself, you are allowed to seek justice and punish the other side for like an atrocity that was committed to you, but not only does the punishment need to fit the crime, but also the scope of your retaliation needs to be in proportion to the perceived potential threat. Do you see what I'm trying to say?
Yeah,
so it's like
I see that.
I'm trying to make the point here that I in a way I get why Israel is doing this, mm-hmm. but the how they are doing it, and like just the scope of all of this is just absolutely fucking barbaric. And like I don't see anymore. I can't see anymore. Like if people can acknowledge that, unless people don't acknowledge that this is a genocide that is currently happening, I don't know how in your right mind you could still be pro-Israel. Like I guess like for the people that are pro-Israel, like I don't even understand why you're pro like, what are you in support of anymore?
Yeah, what are you in support of?
I don't get it.
I feel like every news outlet shows that what Israel is doing towards Gaza is just outright bombing. Like, there's no denying. Even CNN, who's purportedly supposed to be pro-West, there was this one, I don't know if you've seen this video, but there's this one interview where Wolf Blitzer, he's a Jewish, he's a journalist of Jewish background. He's a very famous CNN journalist. He interviewed a spokesperson for the IDF, right? In which he questions the IDF's, what do you call that? The IDF's action in bombing what is obviously a refugee camp.
Right.
You know what the IDF spokesperson said when presented with that question? He said bombing the refugee camp for the sake of taking out one terrorist leader and killing many civilians, it is a tragedy of war.
Right, yeah, they kind of just excuse all of this under the guise of, that's just how war is. And I've heard a lot of my friends say that too.
And that's terrible because why? You can choose not to bomb that refugee camp.
Right.
Right? The thing is, like, if you do not want to bomb a refugee camp, risk a PR disaster, then look for other, exhaust other corridors of approach. You could do something else that does not take as much collateral damages. I'm not condoning any actions that deliberately does collateral damage, but obviously everything is much more better than this. You want to know what's much more better than this? That doesn't need to exhaust collateral damage. Talk it out. Stop the endless slaughter. Like, how long are you going to keep this going? I think this entire problem would propagate a blood feud for 20 more years.
Yeah.
For 20 more years, it will propagate a blood feud. Right. And in about that time span, we will see another Hamas violence again.
Right.
Why am I saying this? Because most of the Hamas fighters that are fighting for their lives right now for the safety of Gaza against Israel, they grew up when Hamas was being bombed by Israel back in 2009. So you could see that this is just merely a cycle of revenge taking hold.
Yeah, there's definitely, I get the sense now that a lot of what Israel is doing, and when I say Israel, I don't mean like everybody in Israel. I'm talking about, I think primarily it's Benjamin Netanyahu. No, like he's pretty much
BB.
BB. Yeah, he's pretty much like the head honcho of all of this.
Of course,
he's pretty much everything lies in his hands.
You know what's really fucked up about BB is that everybody in Israel knows that BB is he's a fucked up Machiavellian politician. Yeah, he's a bad guy.
Yeah, no. Yeah. You know, Benjamin Netanyahu, his for all the people at home, y'all should know this, right? And because this is part of the conversation of having to separate the people from the government, you know, most of the people of Israel don't even like Benjamin Netanyahu.
They don't like him.
He has an absurdly high disapproval rating of like, what was it, like 85%, 87%. Even most people in Israel don't fucking like him. And what was I saying about Benjamin Netanyahu was that you get the sense that there is an element of vengeance in all that he is doing, and even an element of vengeance in the Israeli citizens that are celebrating this catastrophe in Gaza. Because I literally was just thinking about it today, right? And oh my god, this is so like I literally just filmed a TikTok video today. It literally just went up on my TikTok. It's the video of me stitching this girl. My friend Anil, shout out to Anil, and like, you know, we did the trans debate on the show and everything with him. Anil, he sent me a TikTok video. It was this Israeli girl. Do you guys want to see it? I can like put it up on screen as well. The caption reads, "The feeling that will be after we beat Gaza and have Disneyland, Sephora, Starbucks place, and hotels and water park." So that's the caption, right? I feel like this is just yet another symptom of, again, what I was talking about. There's this element of vengeance that some Israeli Jews, not all, but some Israeli Jews, I think they harbor, where in a way, I think they're kind of having their moment where, because for so long Jews were the ones that were ostracized and oppressed,
Holocaust,
and the Holocaust,
Russian pogroms,
Jewish people were
Dreyfus affair.
Yeah, and Jewish people, they were kicked out. Correct me if I'm wrong, but Jewish people, like, they were pretty much kicked out of every country. Like no country wanted them, and then it's like, you know, they were like oppressed. That's right, true. Like Jewish people have suffered. Jewish people collectively have suffered so much atrocities throughout human history, and there's like, you know, acknowledging that, right? But then I feel like there's something going on here where it's like I kind of feel like the paranoia is catching up. Yeah. Like, right? Where it's like, imagine what it must be like to be an Israeli Jew.
Yeah, it's like this. They at first, like, for the longest amount of time, for 2 millennia, right? Imagine 2 millennia worth of suffering, of oppression, of subjugation, and finally you have all the power.
They get a power trip.
There you go.
Yeah, and also again, like my point, like how even power trip aside, that's definitely happening. But it's the paranoia that's finally catching up to them, right? Because imagine what it's like to be an Israeli Jew, because this is where, back again to what I said about, I want this episode to also hold space of empathy for all sides,
of course, yeah.
Like imagine for a second, guys, like what it must be like to grow up as an Israeli Jew. You are told your entire life that everybody is out to get kill you. Yes. Like, and I don't know, there's also an element of brainwashing that is going on, right? Which is what I addressed
indoctrination.
Of course, like propaganda, brainwashing, indoctrination from the government, absolutely, right? And so all of that, it's an amalgamation of all of those, right?
Yeah.
But and then Hamas, they did what they did on October 7th, and then suddenly it's like, oh shit, like, oh my god, this is it.
This is it.
It's happening. This is happening all over again, and then the paranoia.
Whatever we were taught to be, like, this is the point. Like, the ultra nationalists were right.
Right.
They were right to fear Palestine because this is happening.
Right. And I feel like that's why, Bibi Netanyahu aside, like what we're seeing from some of the Israeli citizens that are getting a kick out of the destruction and the annihilation of innocent Palestinian lives. Of course, there's like the element of, again, government propaganda, brainwashing and all that. But I think it's also just because I think they're kind of having, like what you said, a power trip. And like in their minds, this is going to sound so sadistic. And I kind of hope, some part of me hopes that this is not really the case, but I can see it happening where it's like they're like, finally you know what it's like. Serves you right. Like now you know it's your turn. I feel like that's kind of what's happening, because I would not be surprised the way that Israeli Jews were raised, and like with all that government propaganda, I would not be surprised if they thought like that.
Yeah, no one is surprised because like, but what's more fucked up about this, right, is that the Palestinians themselves were always oppressed. Same as Jews. They were always oppressed by all the powers around them. You need to remember that the Levantine region, it was a crossroad for major empires all over the world, right? Wherever they're situated right now, it was the center of where all the empires were at.
Right.
Obviously, there were people slaves at some point.
Yeah.
And what's fucked up is that Israeli people are doing this towards people who are supposed to share their own pain of being subjugated. Now they're subjugating people who are basically of the same cut.
Right. Exactly.
And it's fucked up. It's fucked up how this apartheid is doing them just because they're having a power trip.
Yep. Yeah.
By the way, pembelaannya sisinya Israel government, kenapa mereka nembakin camp refugee, kenapa mereka nembakin church, mosque and hospital tuh katanya karena Hamas
ada sembunyi di situ gitu loh.
Sembunyinya di bawah tanah. But okay, this is what I don't understand. How much money has the US how much money has the US given Israel for like military defense? Like, was it like some absurd number, like $14 billion or something?
Yeah, how exactly did Hamas break through the perimeter?
No. What I'm trying to say is, damn, how much? No, seriously, look it up, please. Like, how much money did the U.S. give Israel, like ever since October 7 to defend themselves against Hamas? How much money? Was it like $14 billion or something? $14 billion, and Israel is allegedly has one of the most advanced intelligence operations in the entire world, and you can't kill. How big is Hamas?
Fewer than 100,000. Fewer.
100,000?
Yes.
Fewer than that. Maybe about 50,000 figures, 70,000.
50,000 people?
Maybe.
Okay, that's a bigger number than what I was expecting. I was expecting like Hamas to be like.
And Hamas, we're talking about Hamas in general, and that extends to their operations outside of Gaza as well.
But back to my point. Okay, let's say Hamas is like let's say like 50,000 people. 50,000 people is really not that much.
Yeah, like I do get your point though. Like
how the fuck fuck you got all that money and you got supposedly the most advanced intelligence in the whole world and you can't kill 50,000 people? Give me that money. Joe Biden, give me that money. Let me take down Hamas for you. And Netanyahu, if you are watching this, he won't be watching this, but Netanyahu, if you are watching this, give me the money, let me do it.
Oh, looks like you're gonna get a job from DV.
Let me do it. Let me do it. And you know what? Better yet, I'll do it. I'll kill Hamas for you, and I'll do it without killing any innocent civilians. How about that? Clean. Squeaky. I don't get it. It's absurd. They make up all these excuses like, oh, we bombed the hospital, we bombed this and that because we got all these underground tunnels. And then the other day, look, I don't know how reliable, I'm so sorry to cut you off, but I don't know how reliable of an information this is. But then I read something the other day on Twitter. That's why I questioned the validity of this. But take it with a grain of salt. But somebody on Twitter posted that they say that, oh yeah, because on the Israeli end, like what their intelligence operations are seeing is that, oh, like these underground tunnels, like, oh, that could be Hamas. And then apparently it's just a bunch of like underground, like it has nothing to do with Hamas. It's just like sewers or whatever.
Sewers and shit. Man.
Yeah. And it's like, you have all that money, you have all that equipment,
you have
and
all
you can't
that
differentiate.
Resource in your disposal, and you can't even take out small fry.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's ridiculous.
It's ridiculous.
Oh my god.
Yeah, and then terus lately mereka ini juga kan nyerang sebagian West Bank juga kan.
Oh yeah.
Yes, Bassem Youssef. He made that argument. It's such a smart argument. Because in the beginning, Israel kept going on about how we're doing this because we need to defend ourselves from Hamas. We need to defend.
But like, it's like West Bank. Yeah.
But then like, what the fuck are you doing in the West Bank then? There's no Hamas in the West Bank.
Yeah.
That's PLO.
Yeah.
What the fuck are you doing over there?
Yeah. But actually, it's like this. I feel like in terms of principle, like, yeah, what the fuck is Israel doing? Like, it doesn't make any sense for them to attack West Bank, which is Fatah-controlled territory, right? The thing is, like, it's like this. From a matter of geopolitics, I believe Fatah saw what Hamas was doing, and knowing that they were in the same plight together, but they weren't really what do you call that? They were in the same plight together, but they had different methods of doing things. Like the way Martin Luther King does this, and this is Malcolm X. He does a different thing, like Magneto and Charles Xavier from X-Men. I feel like Fatah can't help but to have to support whatever Hamas is doing, because the way they see it, this is a fait accompli. This is fait accompli. Gitu kayak, okay, this has done damage to Israel, so looks like that forces our hand to do it as well. So whatever Fatah is doing, yes, Israel, it doesn't make sense if Israel wants to invest resources in West Bank. Makes absolutely no sense whatsoever. But in terms of geopolitics, Fatah is probably trying to take they're trying to take control of the momentum, you know, which kind of makes sense if what's called the Fatah decides to be a bit more aggressive towards Israel in the West Bank, which causes plenty of casualties. But again, I believe the conflict extending to West Bank is just nonsensical.
Right.
Because Fatah and Hamas in the first place, they had a major schism back in 2007.
Right.
Hamas was no longer part of the PLO ever since.
Right.
So just makes no sense why both of them are fighting there. It's just a waste. It's a senseless waste of human life and resources.
I'll give you an analogy. Jadi kayak ospek.
Iya, kayak
ospek. Kita di ospek sama senior kan. Begitu kita jadi senior, harusnya lu balas dendam sama seniornya.
Iya.
Tapi terus akhirnya sekarang gue punya power nih.
Iya, itu analogi yang bagus.
Oh, yeah, you're so right.
Adik kelasnya disiksa, terus adik kelasnya ada yang lawan. Kalau ospek tuh harusnya misalnya nggak kayak gini, atau gue nggak setuju sama lu gitu.
Iya.
Anjing lu satu orang dihabisin semuanya kan satu angkatan.
Iya.
That's it. Yeah. Okay, yeah. I see how that relates to my point. Yeah, it's the vengeance. Like you have this now. You have the power. You want to abuse it because you want to make other people feel the way that you felt.
It's a self-fulfilling prophecy.
Yes, and projection.
And
a lot of oh my god, I am so sorry, but like you know what Israel, like if Israel were like, if we were to make Israel into a person, you know what she kind of reminds me of? It's like that one bitch who's like omega fucking problematic, and like yes, I understand that where is Israel is geographically located is literally in the middle of the Middle East, surrounded by all of these Muslim countries that allegedly the Quran, like, it includes verses that are just like very anti-Semitic, right? So like, this is what my a pro-Israel Jewish American friend of mine from back in the States, like, that's what, the argument that he presented me with is that, well, how would you feel being surrounded by all these countries that literally want you dead, right? And so it's like, okay, if you put it that way, I understand why Israel fears for its safety. But I understand then, like, why you have to have a robust military, but it's at the same time, a lot of Israel's problems, like, she's the problematic bitch that starts her own problems, and then when everybody retaliates, she's like, she plays victim. She's like, huh, why are you doing this to me, not knowing goddamn well your bitch ass is fucking problematic and psycho as shit.
This girl named Israela.
This bitch named Israela.
She's inside a toxic relationship with Palestino.
No, and she reminds me of, that one bitch who, like, she has all these, like, pent up, like, traumas and everything, like, unprocessed traumas that she don't know how to deal with. And because she got all this trauma, she
lashes it out on boyfriend
Palestino. Boyfriend Palestino and, like, all her other friends all around her that are probably just, like, either chilling or, like, just trying to help.
It's like this. You brought up the point, right? You brought up the point that Israel is literally surrounded by a sea of enemies because in the Quran, right, it is interpreted that you are supposed to kill.
Disclaimer, I didn't make that argument. My friend back in the US made that argument. I am just acknowledging that is an argument out there.
And I'm trying to reinforce that you can interpret it that way, but I do not recommend you to interpret it that way because that would be condoning murder. But anyways, as I was saying, what do you call that? You created this own problem. Why? Because you brought yourself to the sea, to that sea of enemies.
Yes.
That you made. If you were going to be this paranoid, why put yourself in the middle of the Middle East?
Oh, okay, hold on, wait. I think this is where I will speak. I will give Israel some grace here, in the sense that they technically didn't choose to be in the location, like, to be in Palestine.
Oh, come on. Zionism?
Did they choose?
They chose to be there.
Right? Wasn't it given it to them by the Brits?
Yeah, okay, so it was like this. Back in the 19th century,
sorry.
Okay.
You want to continue?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Sure. Yeah. Back in the 19th century, there was this thing called the Balfour Declaration.
Yeah.
And it was all about Zionism, about how the UK would help the Israelis go back, the Jews to go back to their homeland, which is Canaan, which is today, Israel and Judea, which is today Israel and Palestine.
Interesting.
Levantine region. Yeah. So the Jews wanted to go there because they believe that's their homeland. Jews, okay, the reason I say that,
dijanjikan.
It's a promised land.
But at the same time, see, this is where I want to get into the conversation of Zionism, because oh my God, like, why did I get a different information? Or I don't know what the fuck is happening right now. If you read the Torah, it doesn't mention anything about Palestine. You know where, if you want to talk all about where the Israel, like the original Jews are from, according to the Torah, you know what? I'm going to insert just like, so that I don't bear the responsibility of like spreading misinformation. Like, but I got it from like this TikTok video of like this girl. She's Jewish and she practices Judaism. She reads the Torah. Yeah. And apparently in the Torah, it says that originally they're from what we presently today call as Iraq.
Iraq
or Iran? Iraq, yeah. Iraq. Like, according to the Torah. Yeah, that's according to their own religious book. And also something that I was telling you earlier, but I wanted to save it for this conversation. Zionism. How I recently just found out that apparently Zionism goes against the religion of Judaism.
Yeah, that is you said that earlier before this video started, which is kind of interesting. Like, why would you? How do you say that? How do you say that Zionism is against Judaism?
First of all, the source where I got that from, and again, maybe like I'll either like insert it like right in the middle here, for people to like listen to, like this rabbi on TikTok. He was saying it. So basically, ujung-ujungnya, Jewish people, according to the Torah, are not allowed to. You know what? Actually, let me read it out so that at the risk of like spreading misinformation.
An hour in this video, I believe there is like a dozen of incriminating lines that we've spoken.
Yeah. No, see, I feel like there are very little clips that there are very little moments in this episode that can be turned into clips, and even so, I don't think I really want to put that many clips from this episode out there, because I see, the thing is, I know a lot of people, especially in the age of social media, we want everything fast. We want everything fast. We want to know everything in like under 1 minute, 2 minutes. And like one of the most absurd comments that I've ever received is, there was this one person in my comments saying how, all it takes is a 5-minute Google search to understand what the fuck is going on. How hard is it to pick a side?
Oh my god!
And like, it's not like that. Oh my god, the way trivialize, you fucking trivializing ass bitch. Historians, you know what's so interesting? My friend, he's a historian, like an actual fucking historian, masters in history, all that type of shit, right? You know what's very interesting? You hear on the internet, especially, you hear everybody talking about this conflict. You hear politicians talking about it. You hear influencers and business owners and literally everybody under the sun talking about this conflict. You know who you're not hearing talking about this conflict? Historians.
What do historians say?
No, you don't hear historians talking out about this, because historians know that when what's the quote? Oh my goodness, I should have prepared this. I didn't know I was going to ingrain this into the conversation, but something along the lines of whenever war starts, that's usually when the truth dies, or something like that. In the sense of like, whenever times like these occur, you only know the truth after the war ends. That's the same thing with World War II, World War I, World War II, because a lot of times when you're still in
people
the heat,
choose what the truth is.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. Like, especially because when, in times of war, in times of like, cataclysmic conflict, that's what we're seeing right now, a lot of misinformation and disinformation and propaganda, right? And so like when you're in the thick of it, and we are currently in the thick of this Israel-Palestine conflict, like we're literally like filming this right now, it's still happening. It like, talk to any historian, they'll tell you like, we don't know what the truth is yet. The truth will unfold itself like after, like once this has been finished.
And like after this is finished, like say 10 years, the historians, they have a lot of work to do. They need to disseminate the truth from mountains of propaganda, misinformation, false narratives, enforced narratives, like all of that. And it's a hard work to do, because that's where the truth lies. And a lot of people, they want to take advantage of the truth, either by covering it up, by twisting it, by telling half-truths, or by not telling them at all, to gain advantage of the information war.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, and also again about the rabbi that was talking about how Zionism is technically against the religion of Judaism, is because by their own book, they're literally told in there that they're not allowed to attempt to recreate their own sovereignty, like by themselves. Something about how they're supposed to wait for Jesus to like rise back up again, and like that's when, like something like that. I don't know. Are you ADHD? I swear to God, we're literally serving ADHD in this episode, like, because I'm trying to like finish a point and then you cut me off, and then like and then I cut you off on your point, and then like I keep like having to go back to like my original point. Also something that a point that I wanted to make. Everybody, especially in the age of social media, we are so accustomed to getting everything fast. It's like the fast food of information, right? We want everything to be in under 1 minute, to know everything in under 1 minute, and
consumerism.
Right. Yeah, mass consumerism, essentially. Like, it's a symptom of it, essentially. And I'm sorry, but the reason why you're not gonna see a lot of clips from this episode going up on TikTok, because number one, I think it does a really big disservice to the severity and the complexity of the situation for you to basically reduce it down to a 1 minute, 2 minute soundbite. And also because you're not gonna get the truth from a 1 minute, 2 minute TikTok clip or an IG reel clip. Okay, I find it so incredibly either disingenuous or facetious or somewhere in between those two definitions, that people literally, like, I think a lot of people are internalizing how all it takes is just a 5-minute Google search and you know the truth. No, you fucking don't.
That
and
is
like,
not doing justice to the entire situation.
And for people to trivialize this, like a 75-year long conflict, and you think a 5-minute Google search is gonna do it for you, Mary? Like, think again.
This one celebrity, like
Selena Gomez?
I forgot. No, it's an Indonesian celebrity.
Roland Shaw?
I think it was.
We're just dropping names here because honestly, all of this is public. Like,
I really forget. Probably it was Rachel Venya. Maybe.
What she do? Or what the netizens do?
It was back in Halloween. But I don't know if it's Rachel Venya or it's
the
a
witch
hunt.
hunt.
They said to all celebrities, including Rachel Venya, was it Rachel Vinny? I don't know, but we'll see. I'll actually double check later on. But they said to all celebrities that are celebrating Halloween while Gaza is being bombed to bits and pieces. Like, why are you celebrating this while people on Gaza are dying right now? Like, what is that supposed to achieve? Why are you living such a privileged life when all the kids in Africa are literally suffering from world hunger?
Like, I'm calling out a lot of you Indonesian netizens because y'all are full of shit. Like, okay, let's be so fucking for real. Nobody gave a shit about Israel and Palestine before October 7. Absolutely nobody gave a fuck. Most people didn't probably even know. Like, Israel probably people know. Existed. People probably knew superficially, like, okay, yeah, there's a conflict between Israel and Palestine and everything, and it's been going on for 75 years, but that's all. It was like superficial knowledge of the conflict. And then suddenly after October 7, everybody claims themselves to be experts on this and like to know the truth about all this, and then expect everybody else to be experts on this and to know the truth of it. I better see the same fucking energy from all of you Indonesian netizens, especially when we're talking about the genocides that are happening in Sudan, Libya, and Congo.
Of course.
And let's not forget about our own country, West Papua. Let's talk about that some other time on the show. But yeah, no, I'm just saying, keep it real. It's also just been very interesting how suddenly everybody's such a humanitarian.
Yeah, when it comes to Israel and Palestine, everybody's a humanitarian, but sometimes it's also an excuse for people to indulge in their own anti-Semitism.
Right, but Semitism. But also because I feel like this is just my personal observation. I honestly feel like a lot of Indonesians, the reason why they're suddenly so humanitarian and suddenly they care so much about Palestinians exactly is, number one, of course, same religion, like proximity, like due to religion, but also because I think there's an element too of like, because the average native Indonesian, brown skin, everything, like they look more like the Palestinians. So it's also just like a racial thing as well, because Sudan, correct me if I'm wrong, Sudan is Islamic as well. Sudan is also Muslim. Sudan is Muslim, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, Sudan is Muslim, Congo is Muslim, but it's because they're black.
Yeah.
But it's because they're black and Indonesians are racist as fuck. I'm sorry, y'all don't want to hear that, or maybe y'all don't even fucking care. But when it's social and humanitarian injustices that happen towards black people, suddenly y'all are like, oh no, I don't see that.
Whenever I'm in Friday prayers, people always pray about their Palestinian brethren. But the thing is, you guys are only concerned about Muslims in Palestine. Meanwhile, you got Muslims in Sudan, Muslims in every part of Africa, and then the one part that is most often forgotten by the rest of the Muslim world is the Uyghurs. The Uyghurs in China.
Yep.
Who are interned in camps. Like, where is that? Where is your support for that?
Yep. Yeah. But I know most people in the country, y'all so xenophobic as shit. So yeah.
You want to know something I feel that netizens could do if they want to really support Palestine? Well, you could just blow up your own house and not eat for 5 days. That will show solidarity.
Yeah, see. Oh my gosh, like, no, I'm so sorry. Again, it's like I don't want to invalidate the impact that social media, when used for good by good people, can actually do.
It can move to incredible things.
Yes, it can absolutely. We have seen how social media has practically moved mountains, right? But I urge all of you people at home to please critically think about this, like, as even with posting, right? Let's talk about the effectiveness of posting. Posting on social media is a good thing, right? Because you are helping spread information,
awareness,
raising awareness. But it also, at the same time, you need to be conscious of what and how much you are sharing, because here's the one thing, right? It's quality over quantity. A lot of people right now, I think, are having this mindset that you need to constantly post about Palestine, you need to constantly post about this conflict, right? And then at some point, number one, basically it's like when you post too much all in one go, what are the chances of people actually being able to digest everything? You're feeding too much all at once.
You're feeding
Indonesia.
So that's one. And also number two, you need to filter out what you are sharing. Not everything that you see needs to be shared. And also not everything that you see on the internet is even true.
Yeah, because sometimes you also need to understand that what you are posting, right? You are also responsible for it, right? That's why spreading hoax, you can get jailed, right? The Indonesian saying of "mu adalah harimaumu," it's true. Because when you post something that is wrong and people are very ignorant and they believe whatever you say, they feed on it, they're going to spread that lies too.
Yeah.
And suddenly everybody is ascribing to what is blatantly a lie, but nobody knows that it's a lie because people are too ignorant about it. They don't want to seek the truth. They don't want to validate the information.
And people don't want to take the time to do their due diligence and fact check everything. But at the same time, like I understand, because it's like, how do we fact check everything? And it's so tiring. Like if every single time like we have to do our research to post something, but at the same time, that is what you're supposed to be doing, especially if you're somebody of a sizable platform. I would say I constitute under that umbrella. You know what I mean? It's like we're navigating through difficult waters, and people are not showing empathy.
Yeah, like people are not giving you the time and the space for you to do your research, right? Because when people like say you don't know anything about Israel and Palestine, and that's okay, right? You're not directly involved in it, right? It's okay to know about it, but you don't have any obligation to learn about it, right? And when you want to learn about it, it happens on your own time. It happens on your own space. But when people say that you don't learn enough about it, I feel like that's just arrogance on their part. What makes you so better than a lot of people? What makes you so better than this person trying to learn?
Right. And that's why, see, I would almost rather not everybody become an expert on the Israel-Palestinian conflict, in the sense that I would prefer that it's the people that genuinely want to learn about the conflict, right? So that they can maybe contribute to an educated conversation about the conflict, something. Yeah, that's true. Right? I would rather the people that are genuinely interested in learning about the conflict do learn about the conflict, and then, maybe if they're confident enough, speak up about the conflict. Yeah. But if and this is basically like what always happens every time like we see giant social movements like BLM or humanitarian crises like Palestine, like what we're seeing right now, and then everybody just pressures you to immediately like hold a gun to your head and pick a side, right? And like, no, you need, like, are you ready to pick a side right now? Like, have you done like have you done your learning? Like, have you been educating yourself? Yeah. You know what I mean? And it's like you're incentivizing people to learn about the conflict for the wrong reasons. Yeah. You know what I mean? And I just, this was something that I said in one of my other TikTok videos too, of how it's a lot of hypocrisy right now going on. Because you cannot, in the same breath that you are telling people that they need to do better and educate themselves on a matter of an issue, and then vilify them the moment that they are taking the time to do so.
Yeah, when they're taking the time to do so, and then you get angry that they're not doing it fast enough.
Right, under the guise that, you're staying silent. It's like, what do you want, right? And then it's like, in the same breath, y'all are saying like we need to constantly post about Palestine. We need to constantly post about the atrocities of Israel. But you're also saying no, but you need to like do your research as well and like make sure that everything is factually correct. And it's like everything is contradicting itself in times like these because people just can't fucking calm down and be level-headed. And I want to say something about, I want to offer this point of view. I feel like we owe it to the people that are currently suffering the injustice to be level-headed and to remain calm and to behave rationally, because that is a privilege that they do not have. Yes. That they do not afford, that we do. Yeah. So when we are being level-headed, when we are taking our time, and when we are being calm, and we are filtering out information, right? And we are taking it one step at a time, right? We don't do it, in a way, we're not really doing it for us. We're doing it for them because that's a luxury that they don't afford. Yeah. Do you see what I'm trying to say?
Yeah, I see what you're saying. Like sometimes, like again, pertaining to my point before, you want to learn things on your own time and space, right? Yeah. But people just keep on pressuring you to keep on doing it, right? But when you reach to a conclusion that doesn't really align with what they subscribe with, then they say, oh, you're wrong. You're not doing enough research. Then I would take that as a sign that somebody doesn't respect my time in doing my own research. No, they just want me to subscribe on what they believe in. If you do so, if you want that to be the case, then why don't you just tell me to start taking whatever shit that you're on?
Right. Why don't we just all listen to you?
Why don't we all just listen to you? But my question is, why should we listen to you? Yeah, you're just a random, you're just a rando on the internet.
Exactly.
Yeah, what do you do for a living? Are you
How are you contributing to this conflict?
How are you contributing to this conflict? How are you relevant? What is your position in what you say?
Right, exactly.
When you say something, it is a reflection of your own opinion. It doesn't necessarily represent what others are thinking or what the situation says.
Right. That's what I was saying earlier about how I think social media has programmed a lot of us to have a very myopic view of everything, including ourselves. And we kind of, social media also, like, it inflates our egos, and it turns people into narcissists, borderline.
Definitely.
Yeah. And then suddenly everybody be thinking like, no, I can change the world, right? With like one post or some fucking bullshit like that. And
this is out of topic, but I feel like a lot of people who feel strongly about how they can change the world end up changing it for the worse. Yeah.
No, and they extrapolate that mindset and apply it like the opposite way, like what we see with Selena Gomez and all these other celebrities, for example, right? And how they think that no, Selena Gomez is the most followed person on Instagram, so she can change the world with just one post. And I got a lot of heat from for tweeting that on what was formerly known as Twitter. I refuse to call it by its current name,
which is an abomination.
Somebody like a certain billionaire wanting to turn it into a dating app, but that's besides the point.
Okay.
No, I got a lot of heat for that because I find it very hypocritical that a lot of people, everybody turned to Selena Gomez, pressuring the living shit out of that girl to speak up about an issue that, let's just be so fucking for real, as influencers and celebrities, like, are they really the best people to be speaking up about a conflict like this? You know what I mean? Like,
That's the thing.
You pressure all these influencers and celebrities who, by the way, have no genuine incentive to even care about any of these issues. Like, let's just be fucking for real. I would prefer it if they did. Sure, I would prefer if everybody did, right? Like, genuinely. But the reality is, they just fucking don't, right? I'm sorry, but Selena Gomez and all these other like big A-list celebrities, even the celebrities here in Indonesia, they could care less about this conflict. Most of them, at the very least, right? And like, it's so hypocritical. Like, y'all are going after Selena, pressuring her to come out with a statement, and when she finally does, you guys shit on her because the statement wasn't good enough for you. Like,
that's hypocritical.
It's like, lu apa aja tuh serba salah beneran. In times like these, everything you do and everything you say, even everything you don't do and don't say is wrong.
It's a Morton sport.
Yeah, mereka mau menang sendiri aja.
No, and I honestly just feel like a lot of these people, as per fucking usual, like chronic internet behavior, like you just want a reason to be angry at something.
Yeah, you want a reason to be angry at something, and then after they give you a reason, you angry at it. You know, it's like gimana ya? Now let's take it back to Selena Gomez. Okay, try and put yourself in the shoes of somebody who is the most followed person on Instagram, somebody who has all that power. Uncle Ben, before he died, he said, I take this from a comic book called Spider-Man for the ignorant masses. But anyways, Uncle Ben said before he died, with great power comes great responsibility.
And exactly, like, you are delegating that huge of a responsibility to someone who, by the way, like, not only does she
no stake in
it, she's not incentivized to genuinely care about this, but also she is not the person for you to be going at. Like, all of this time and energy being wasted on witch hunting influencers and celebrities, which, by the way, recently happened on itu kan Twitter. Like, why you're spending all this time and energy going after celebrities like Selena Gomez? What the fuck is she gonna do? Why don't direct that to other more productive things? Why don't you?
Yeah, why don't you start hunting politicians who don't show support?
Oh, actually, no. What do y'all think about the boycotting that's happening right now?
No, menurut gua nih, simple sih. Lu mau boykot sebuah barang, silakan lu lakukan sendiri, tapi jangan memaksakan kehendak itu kepada orang lain. Do not force other people to do shit the same as you do.
Right. And also, at least if you're going to boycott, number one, make sure that you're boycotting the companies that ought to be boycotted. And also, number two, learn the definition of boycotting. Boycotting does not mean harassing employees that work for that company.
Yeah, that's true. Do not harass while boycotting. Boycotting is just refusing to buy anything or contributing economically.
Also, boycotting is not performative activism like the guy that you were talking about in the McDonald's drive-thru. That is like 100% performative activism. Like, that is not at all... dia yang ngepost, gue yang malu anjing kayak like, okay. And when it comes to boycotting, I will say this: boycotting historically has been effective. It's been one of probably, you could argue it's one of the most effective ways of bringing about change, because nothing changed people more than money, right? Money going up, money going down. So boycotting is effective. I think I'm not against boycotting the companies that directly are supporting what Israel is doing to the people of Gaza and the colonization of Palestine as well. But at the same time, I want to acknowledge how hard it is for us to actually know that as a matter of fact before we decide to punish them for something that they may not even be responsible for. Do you see what I'm trying to say?
I see. As well as like this, you want to boycott Israel on principle, right? You got to be full on. Stop going to Starbucks. Stop using Apple. Stop using Samsung because South Korea, they acknowledge the state of Israel. Stop using Japanese cars, which is like 90% of the cars in Indonesia, because Japan acknowledges the state of Israel. You got to stop going to IKEA. Stop buying shit from IKEA. Because Sweden acknowledges the state of Israel. And what is it if it's not support when you're acknowledging a country?
Right. Like what?
So stupid.
We also need to ask ourselves, like, what is the definition of support to begin with?
There
right?
you go. Yeah.
Yeah.
Boycott Adidas and boycott Nike, boycott Adidas, boycott Puma, because Germany has a close and special relationship with Israel. What else? Boycott all these companies.
Jerman itu juga susah.
Iya.
Nanti kalau ngomong Nazi mendukung.
Iya.
Kalau ngomongnya Jerman sekarang mendukung yang, kalau Nazi kan mendukung yang ngebunuhin Yahudi.
Iya.
Kalau Jerman yang sekarang nanti ini, nah sebenarnya nanti diinin lagi kan sekarang kayaknya kemarin beberapa bulan lalu Nazi lagi.
Nah,
kan.
makanya apapun tuh serba salah kan, and
serba
also
salah.
no, and also but people do not understand. People, I'm so sorry, y'all literally don't understand. By the way, this show is not sponsored by Pringles, but y'all literally don't understand how voicing out your support for a country or another during times like these is not as simple as just voicing it out.
Yeah, it's not as simple as voicing
Especially
it out.
when you are a country, because when you are a country, unfortunately, is all of these politicians that are running those countries that are moving the political chess pieces on the board to see, where on the chessboard can they move their chess pieces in order to be able to put them in the most economically and politically advantaged position, right? So for example, like what I'm saying, like Russia, right? Wasn't Russia at like in the very beginning either like neutral or like pro-Israel? And like
Russia, in terms of geopolitics, Russia is very close, and also idealism as well. Russia is close with Israel because a lot of Israelis back when Israel was founded, they were Russians.
Right. But on top of that, right, in the very beginning, of course, Russia had something in it for them to fan the flames of this fire, right? There's something in it for them. Why? Because, like, think of it from like a strategic point of view. Russia, they want that because if the United States is sending all of this money to help Israel, there's less money that goes towards supporting Ukraine, right? Exactly. So
and
it's
that
like,
is exactly what Zelensky is saying, right? Recently, Zelensky has been releasing statements regarding how Ukraine still needs these weapons.
But the tea is, I literally just looked it up today. Now Russia is slowly shifting their allyship towards Gaza, towards Palestine.
Yeah, obviously, like Russia is slowly moving towards Palestine because in terms of geopolitics, anything that is supported by your enemy is bad. Yeah, so Russia has more stake supporting Palestine than they do supporting Israel. But should we segue into the realm of geopolitics?
I mean, sure, but my what I was also like trying to underscore is that and then Russia's allyship is now shifting towards Palestine, and without getting too much into the reasons, because I'm sure like nobody really fucking cares, but like the TLDR reason is that because they just basically decided there's more in it for them now. They realize that there's something in it more for them now to be on like the good graces of the Middle Easterns.
Geopolitics gak mengenal ide. Geopolitics itu tidak mengenal prinsip.
Yep. Yeah. Geopolitics is literally like I really recommend everybody to pick up a book on geopolitics, any book about geopolitics. It's very sobering. I think
it's very sobering.
It's very sobering. Like once you really like start paying more attention to geopolitics, and how you realize that everything that goes on in the world is literally just about political advantage, political economic advantage, and money. That's everything in the world. Like bego banget, transgender bathroom, apa kayak feminism, and like apa kayak domestic worker abuse, everything bego banget. Pokoknya everything is about political and economic advantage on the world map and money. That's it. That's what you read geopolitics, you understand that about the world real fucking quickly.
I study political science and international relations. That's true.
And that's why you have depression.
What?
And that's why you have depression.
I'm actually over depression, but I used to have depression.
Oh, okay.
Ya, lagian sebenarnya kalau mungkin geopolitik terlalu susah ya buat orang-orang yang malas baca atau kayak gimana. Lu lihat aja politik di Indonesia sekarang.
Yeah, even like lupa.
The last 10 years tuh apa yang terjadi coba? Lu dukung mana kemana? Akhirnya mereka temenan, yang satu pisah, yang satu kayak gini.
Iya, sekarang gini loh, kayak we talk about geopolitics, but Indonesia is also in bed with Israel as well.
Right.
You go search it on Google. I don't need to, tell you the details. You can find it on Google. Mossad was literally here in Indonesia. Mossad, And what else? We're China is Indonesia's sugar daddy, but we're also sucking USA's dick. Yeah, and then we're also, Jokowi's also close with Putin as well. Like you ever see in the videos how elated Putin is whenever he sees Jokowi? He's like, oh, it's my friend. You ever see in the videos where he just puts like this long ass table whenever he speaks with people from Europe, from Asia, everywhere, including Xi Jinping. But when it's Jokowi, no sense of personal space.
Right.
He's like,
yeah.
What do you want? What is it do you want, my friend? Yeah, so like it's just it's a ridiculous notion to think that countries and its people, we can influence countries to be idealistic. We can't.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I really like. I want to go more into that. How are humans by nature just very idealistic, or is it? I don't know. I'm a very idealistic person. I get the sense that you're a very idealistic person as well. Yeah. I mean, what I was trying to get at is, I think in times like these, idealism operates at a high, right?
Of course,
right?
Obviously, yeah.
And it's very difficult because I feel like it is within the human nature to some extent to have hope, right? Like
of course,
to want to have hope. Yeah, to want to have hope, and like to even just be idealistic. Like we as humans, like we have our own notions of like how people should be and how the world should be, and oftentimes times like these, I see the constant clash of idealism versus realism. You know what I mean?
Of course.
It's just,
and
yeah.
The way I cope with it is it's like this. Kaya gimana ya? Well, the world is fucked up, but at least there's good people. There's at least good people in it, and we're willing to dive into the frying pan to do it if we are in the power to do so. It's just, stuff happens. Yeah. But the reason why I'm still so optimistic in the face of slaughter and atrocity is because I believe in geopolitics. I believe countries are going to see, meaningless slaughter as something that is of zero net worth for them. And they'd be like, yeah, this is not making money for us. Let's stop it. But you can also say that if it takes not getting money out of the slaughter just for it to stop, that's terrible. But hey, at least the slaughter ended.
Yeah.
But
at the end of the day, like the only thing, again, everything in this world is just all about advancing economic and political positions
of course.
And money, right? So
of course.
If there is any hope of this conflict ending and for there to be peace on both sides,
it has to make money.
Yep. And powerful countries need to benefit from it.
Of course, when you do geopolitics, you're also in the business of doing business.
Yeah.
So
everything is a
business. You probably want to get money back from the risk that you're taking.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. And speaking of money, and on the topic of what we as average everyday citizens can do, especially for those of us here in Indonesia, other listeners from Philippines, Singapore, Brunei, I know we have like some international listeners as well. And like what we as average, everyday global citizens that are so detached physically and in all other sense from this conflict, like what we can do to tangibly help. I would argue, I think the only thing that we really can do is donating.
Donating is definitely the best thing that you can do. Besides donation, we also need to trust in the political process. Mm-hmm. Because in order for those donations to reach Gaza in the first place, then we better pray that we have cracked politicians who can negotiate the safe passage of those donations. And the only way we can do that is we need to exert the decision makers.
Yeah.
We do not don't witch hunt celebrities.
Right.
Don't witch hunt people who do not have power over this. Right. Like celebrities, they're not there to change the world. No, they're there to entertain you.
Redirect all of this time, all of this energy towards having actual fruitful and efficient conversations with the people that can actually enact change. This is it for now. I'm interested to receive feedback from any of our listeners, for both me and Buzzer over here. Give us constructive criticism, feedback. And if y'all want a part 2 of this, either with Buzzer or with anybody else, like if there are things that like specific topics that maybe perhaps we didn't address, so yeah, let us know. And normally I do the whole intro of like and like, subscribe, what do I usually say? Like, comment, and fucking subscribe, you cunts. But this time around I want to be a little bit more formal in light of the topic that we are doing. And thank everybody, and like I appreciate everybody that tunes into this, and I appreciate any constructive criticism and feedback that can come our way. And also please excuse us if we our intention is never to spread misinformation. If there is perhaps anything that we misspoke on, just please kindly educate us about it.
Please
write it down in the comments. I'll pin it, all that. I think that is it for now. So thank you, everybody. Bye bye.
See ya.
His information's down below. Okay, let's go get pizza.